All right, today we're going to talk about perimeter of sectors. Remember that perimeter means the sum of the sides around the shape. So when we talk about perimeter, we're talking about around. So if you look at a sector, if I wanted the perimeter, it would be around the circle region. And if I wanted to find the perimeter, again, perimeter means the sum. It looks to me like I would need my radius, and I would need my radius, and then I'm not done. I would need my little arc length here. So perimeter is really my radius plus my radius plus my arc length. And now when you think about arc length, when you think about what this would be, this value, this is part of the circumference. So arc length is part of the circumference. So a formula that we're definitely going to need for everything is circumference. And to find circumference, we do 2 times pi times r. That's the formula we're going to need. So we're going to need our radius, and we're going to need part of our circumference. To find part of it, we need the full formula 2 pi r. And everything that I'm going to do today, I'm going to keep pi represented as pi instead of 3.14. So that's something a little new. I feel like you're all pretty confident about getting it using 3.14. So today we're just going to keep it as pi. Okay, so our steps for finding perimeter of a sector. The first thing I want to do is find my circumference. Remember, circumference is 2 pi r. Secondly, I'm going to find a fraction of the circumference. I'm talking about 1/3 of it, 1/4 of it, 2/5 of it, 1/6 of it. A fraction of, when we say fraction of, that means multiply. So what I'm really doing is I'm going some kind of fraction times my 2 pi r. That's the formula that I'm really working with there. Step 3, this gives me my arc length. This final answer is my arc length. So the third thing I'm going to do, if I'm talking about a sector, I'm going to find my radius plus my other radius plus my arc length, and my arc length was my fraction times 2 pi r. So let's work with a couple examples here. I'm just going to erase this. Give you a minute to write that down. Okay. And let's say I have this beautiful circle. And let's say I take up, we're going to call that 1/3. Or yeah, we'll call it 1/3. Let's say that, I wouldn't write it like that. It would be written like this. A sector takes up 1/3 of the circle. The radius is 3. Find perimeter. So I'm just going to work with the steps that I gave you. The first thing I want to do is find my normal circumference. So my circumference is equal to 2 pi r. The radius that I am given is 3. So this turns into 2 times 3 times pi. Again, multiplication is commutative, so I can flip numbers around. This turns into 6 pi. And I'm just going to leave it as 6 pi for right now. Second, I'm going to find the fraction of the circumference. So the fraction I'm dealing with is 1/3. 1/3 of means multiply. So I'm going to go 1/3 times 6 pi over 1. Writing that as a fraction. And then we do top times top over bottom times bottom. I can simplify this 6 over 3 which can be written as just 2 pi. Third, so now I found my arc length. Again, this 2 pi is my arc length. That's what that represents. So this arc length is 2 pi. Now I need to find my total perimeter. So my total perimeter is going to be my radius, which is 3, my other radius, which is 3, so 3 plus 3 plus my arc length. 6 plus 2 pi. And I need to leave it like that because this is like combining like terms. I cannot combine them. So my perimeter of the sector is 6 plus 2 pi. Okay, we're going to do another one. Let's say I have this circle. And this circle takes up, let's make it a fourth. A fourth of, the sector takes up a fourth of my circle. So, the sector takes up 1/4 of my circle. The radius is 4. Find the perimeter. And just referencing the steps to find my perimeter. The first thing I want to do, taking a look at the screen, it says first find my normal circumference. So my circumference is 2 pi r. That's a 2. So I need to know my r. My radius is 4. So my circumference is 2 times 4 times pi, 8 pi. Leave it like that. Secondly, I need to find my fraction. It says find the fraction of the circumference for step 2. So I do my fraction times it by my 2 pi r, which I already got in step 1. So my fraction is a fourth. I'm going to go 1/4 times 8 pi over 1. I can cross simplify here. This turns into 1. This turns into 2. Top times top, which is just 2 pi, over 1, which is 2 pi. So that's, again, my arc length. Step 2 gives us our arc length. So to find perimeter, let's keep our eyes on the prize here. We want to find perimeter. So I have my arc length. My arc length is 2 pi. Now I just add that to these edges, which happen to be the radius. And the radius is 4. So now the perimeter of that sector is going to be 4 plus 4 plus 2 pi, 8 plus 2 pi. They are not like terms, so I leave it like that. We're going to work with area next, finding area of sectors if we're not given the central angle. So the steps for finding the area, the first thing you do is find the actual area. The actual area of a circle is pi r squared. And then we're going to find the fraction of the area. So that's when we're going to go the fraction of the circle the sector takes up times our pi r squared that we got. All right, we're going to do an example. Let's say I have a sector that takes up, okay, that radius really stinks. That takes up 2/3 of my circle. So that means I'm talking about this sector. So my sector takes up 2/3 of my circle with a radius of 3. I want you to find the area of my sector. Now I taught you how to create proportions in a previous lesson. Here I can't create a proportion because I'm not given a central angle. So I'm just going to find my total area, my actual area. 2/3 of means I'm going to multiply. So the first thing I do is find the actual area. Pi times r squared. R is 3. Pi times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. It's 3 times 3. So this turns into 9 pi. I'm going to leave it with the pi. The second thing I do, it says find the fraction of the area. So I have to do the fraction. And the fraction I have is 2/3. 2/3 times my 9 pi. That's 9 pi over 1. Cross simplify. Now I'm going to go top times top, 2 times 3 pi, all over 1, which is 6 pi over 1, which is just 6 pi. So the area of my sector is 6 pi, and it would be units squared. Okay, I'm going to do one more example. Alright, with this last example, the sector that we are looking at takes up a 1/6 of the circle. The radius is 4. Find the area of the sector. So the first thing I want to do is find the actual area. So first I'm going to go pi r squared. Looks like I need to identify my r. My r is 4. So the area of it would be 4 squared times pi, which is 16 pi. Secondly, I want to find the fraction of the area. So the second step, I'm going to find the fraction of this area. So I'm a 1/6 of 4, or a 1/6 of the whole circle. So I'm going 1/6 times 16 pi over 1. Cross simplify. They both share a factor of 2, so I'm going to divide them both by 2. This turns into top times top, 8 pi over bottom times bottom. How they're going to simplify that for you with your work, they're going to do 8/3. Convert that into a fraction. When I convert that into a fraction, all I'm hitting in my calculator is 8 divided by 3, and then I'm just putting the pi symbol. So 8 divided by 3 is 2.6 repeating, so I'll round that to 2.7 pi. So the area of my sector is 2.7 pi. So to recap what we did, we found area and perimeter of a sector, keeping it in terms of pi. When I say in terms of pi, it just means leave pi there. Don't put 3.14. And the steps, the first thing we wanted to always do is find the actual perimeter or the actual area. Secondly, we find the fraction times it. And lastly, for perimeter, what we did is we added up our radius plus our radius plus our arc length. And the arc length for perimeter is given in step 2 when we do the fraction of the real. That gives us our arc length. All right, I think you got everything you need for your homework.